Nice to meet you. Thanks for keeping our lights on so good without me.
Steve, yeah. So, Rodney, is it? Yes, Rodney. John, are you ready?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Michael Griffith, Chair of the McMinnville Historic Zoning Commission. I'd call this meeting to order. At this time, I'd like approval of the minutes of the June 27th meeting.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. All in favor, say aye. Motion to ratify the minutes carries. At this time in your agenda, we will recognize 111 Court Square COA for gutters.
Yes.
You get the pleasure of going first. You can come on up. How are you today?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Just, I don't have no paperwork in front of me. What I was trying to ask for over here at the courthouse, gutters in the facial board is kind of falling off. We're trying to see what we need to put back there. What y'all going to pass to put back there. I mean, if we can vinyl it or, you know, I know the gutters won't be a problem. It's the wood. I need to find out
The
what
facial
will
board.
be appliance with that, what will codes go.
Right. And currently they're now in disrepair, Greg. I mean, they're in bad shape.
We've had a couple that's failed in the front, the wood, it's come off. And we know we're gonna have to take care of it, but I'm trying to see how what we need to put back.
Well, we certainly appreciate that. Sean, do you have any staff recommendations for the
So,
courthouse?
As far as with this, as my understanding was just the gutters, it's a stuff that's tied to it. That's a little bit different. Gutters, what we have is modern aluminum gutters will not be allowed on the front facades of commercial structures. If we went with vinyl, that's typical with a lot of the other gutters that we have throughout the district. As far as the finishing and that type of stuff, are you talking wrap or are you just going to replace it all with vinyl?
Well, we was talking about right, it's what we was thinking about. You know, putting wood up on the right, like you do a house, that's what we was thinking about doing.
So it'd be an
Probably
aluminum
back-
wrap. An aluminum wrap.
Yes, and it'd probably be white like it is now. The gutters might change. Now they may be a different color. You know, they could be a dark, whatever we decide to do. Yeah.
To get there decently enough, I said it's does got pretty good historic character with the wood, which is the original. So. But if it's continuously run, was it a lot of the rot due to the gutters backing up?
Yeah, they had it, I think back in 15 or 16, somebody worked on it, you know, tried to fix it. But when you start walking around it, you can see in the corners and stuff where it's starting to rot out. And I'm just afraid a piece of that's gonna fall off. Yeah, maybe hit somebody, you know, up by the front door, there've been a piece that fell off. Then when you walk around it, you start seeing more and more of it. So that's why we'd like to just do it all, hit gutters and everything when we decide to do this, you know. So.
John, any additional comments before we?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Rachel, Raven?
I don't have any issue with it. I mean, you said it'd be white, just like the
I
gutter.
think that's what we'll probably go back
I mean, it's gonna blend in fairly well, so I don't really think you would.
and then just wrap it with the, wrap.
Mhm.
With aluminum wrap, what we've got up and down.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty standard when you put.
Okay.
Now, as far as color goes, do we worry about color?
No.
We do not.
But we would want it to look.
Yeah,
I mean, just something that blends in and doesn't stand out. I mean, so white or whatever color the
Probably.
gutters are.
white on the trim. I was thinking about dark, like on the gutters, kind of a little darkish color. You know, they're white now, it's white and white.
Mhm.
I kind of want to break that up a little bit, you know. Maybe I can match something around down. Or they might want to go back. I got to take this in front of my
County court.
commissioners.
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
And let them vote on it.
Wondered about that.
Sean, would this current COA be applicable just to the gutters, or will the county need to submit an additional one for that?
No, we can cover the issue with it because it's hand in hand.
Okay.
Let's move on
All
to
right.
separate.
Well, obviously, in the interests of public safety, and whatnot, hearing from the board, I don't see that there's any major pushback associated with it. So the chair would entertain a motion to approve the COA for the gutters for 111 South Court Square.
I make a motion to approve the COA for replacement of gutters and soffit repair for.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, the COA for McMinnville Electric System, 200 West Morford Street, Mr. Rodney Boyd is here, and we'll let him address the board.
The sun has faded our sign in front of McMinnville Electric System. And the bright colors are no longer bright. And so we were replacing just the face of the sign, not the sign itself, but just the plastic face in the front of it. Yes. And that's what we're requesting to be able to do, both on the end of the building and in front of the building as well. The sign has been there since before I got here in 2000.
So both signs, Rodney, the
Both
one.
signs,
Okay.
yes, sir, because there's no reason to replace one and not replace the other one. It's just a matter of
And both of these are internally lit, correct?
both of them are
Okay.
internally lit.
That
correct.
tends to get slightly controversial here, Rodney, as you know, but you're the right guy. You're the right candidate to handle any controversy, I know. So, but to you said these signs were there about the time. How long had they been there? You said
Prior to 2000.
okay. So, in a way, I'll be happy to entertain any comments from the board, but it appears that this may be a situation where they're probably grandfathered in. Sean, did staff have
Yeah,
any
and
comments?
with that, and so when we were talking with the sign company, it was our understanding that they weren't internally lit. And so that's why it was covered with that one wall sign that was up high. If that was not currently internally lit, then it would need to come in front of you guys. But if it's existing and lit, then it's a replacement of the sign faces.
Yes.
There's no changes.
We're gonna probably replace the bulbs while we're in there and go with LEDs, something that's gonna last a good bit longer than the fluorescent bulbs are, but the sign will still be the sign. We're just wanting to replace the plastic in the front of it with our logo on it. It looks
Not
like-
to be difficult, but I really do like High's Funeral Home where they did their sign and then they shine a light on it. So it would be a good time to do that for the one in the front.
It is not out of the realm of possibility to do that. We'd have to trench over. But we can.
Well,
We certainly can do whatever the commission wants us to do.
Well, we appreciate that. And what McMinnville Electric does is always first class. And as you know, we're just trying to have some consistency. Obviously, you're certainly within your rights with it being grandfathered in to proceed. But to Rachel's point, I agree. If there is an opportunity to do it from a different perspective, to kind of encourage other business owners to do that, we would hopefully do that. But
We will be glad to do that, Mr. Chairman, if that's the wish.
anybody else speak to that comment?
I'm okay, since it's basically just replacing what's there and nothing would be changing. I'm fine with what's proposed.
Yeah.
I
Well-
understand where our sign code comes in. But
Sure.
The fact that it's.
Well, obviously, you do you're the general manager, you've been CEO, so you do what's best for the system. And the will of this board is that you can proceed exactly as planned with replacing that. But I agree with Rachel, if there is an opportunity to do it at a different approach without adding a whole lot of cost or burden to you, that's so you have flexibility, sir, from this board. So.
Glad to do it.
Well,
We will certainly go front lighting, as long as I can backlight the one on the side, it'd be a little more difficult.
Yeah, you'll
Yeah.
be able to. light
We can
that
front light,
so high.
that's fine.
I understand. Chair will entertain a motion, and we will approve this just as submitted, just so you're covered. But if you choose to do the other, that's fine. But the chair would entertain a motion to approve the COA for 200 West Morgan Street.
I so move.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Rodney, thank you so much, and thanks, McMinnville Electric System.
Appreciate it. Thank you all.
Thanks, Rodney.
And real quickly, Michael, before we move on to the next one, it'd be your guys' call as the board. Item number 6, I think it's going to be a little bit less discussion than the next upcoming items. I don't know if you just want to block those real quick.
Item number 6 is less discussion than item
Yeah.
number 5.
Yeah.
4 and 5.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, 5, sorry.
We will go ahead and recognize item number 6, 205 through 215 East Morford Street COA for retaining wall.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
So this is for 205 and 215 East Morford Street. I provided a drawing. I don't know if you have those in the packets or not. So still allow you to get oriented. No, we don't have it. Okay.
Was this the garage building?
No, this is my, parking lot.
Oh, okay.
So Morford Street is here, my building, my current law office is here. This is the open grassy knoll, and the apartments are over here. So just so you have an idea of
You can see it on the map. It's just black where it's noted out. So it's hard to, it's one of the last.
your,
pages.
yeah. I think it's on there.
Yeah, put that one over. Yeah, those are
Yeah.
black.
And then
Yeah, there's the
just-
map. It's outlined in black right there. Yeah, that is the parking lot.
Anyway. so, I'm wanting just to put a retaining wall to. The one side on the apartment side will be a double retaining wall. It's my intention to put trees there. As like as a blockade, I guess. And then just to put one retaining wall where the actual hill is, where the grass is, and then just put one retaining wall close to my office, but leave that space where that building was
Like
removed,
concrete.
that concrete pad, I'm gonna leave that there. And just sort of encapsulate that gravel area, just so that I can put landscaping. I don't.
And it doesn't, your property line doesn't go all the way to the grass on the right side of the apartments, does it? Or does it?
Not all the way.
Yeah, it's just the part that's the gravel and then there's a part that's asphalt
That's
that's there.
correct,
Okay, so
yes.
it would, the wall would be between the gravel and the asphalt.
It's gonna go all the way to, it goes all the way to the grass.
Yeah, oh, okay.
But not like to the end.
I have it up on the screen too.
Oh.
I'm trying to orient myself.
Yeah, right there where the cursor is at the top.
Oh, right. Fair point. No, fair point.
So it would go all the way to the grass though.
It does go all the way to the grass. Yeah, you see. Yeah, not the far edge of the grass, but the beginning of the grass.
Right.
The retaining wall on the very back side where the middle is high. And the other two sides, which are shorter, are gonna be 28 inches.
Staff comments?
Yeah, so with this, it falls within the guidelines, for retaining the walls and all other applicable regulations. The materials are gonna be similar to those straightened within the area. And so would spruce up and then would allow for some landscaping on there, which would add some greenery, that type of stuff too, if you're gonna do that.
Yes, do I need to submit a separate request to add trees for landscaping type material?
No.
Okay,
What material wall are the walls gonna be?
Is that cinder
they're
block?
going to be cinder block, but they're going to be stuccoed and then potentially painted or.
So to kind of match the side of your law office.
That's
what you've
correct.
done.
It'll look just like the side of my wall.
Her masons have done an excellent job.
So then just trees and landscaping all around the gravel?
Yes. So it's basically gravel, wall, landscaping, just to border that parking lot.
Are you gonna keep the parking lot gravel? Or are you gonna?
It's gonna be kind of
Yeah,
gravel.
okay. Not that that particularly matters for this, I was just curious.
I think our intention is to build back on that at some point, so I'm not gonna spend the money.
Yeah.
To blacktop and then pull it out within a few years.
Yeah. Not that this matters to historic zoning, but my just question is, have you talked to the people that own the apartment? Just because I know a bunch of their people park there in the grass.
I know Leslie.
Okay. I was just curious if that was gonna, because isn't there their dumpster there too, I think? Yeah,
That's,
okay, you're at least on top of
I'm aware, I'm
Okay.
well aware.
that. Okay, I was just curious.
I'll just say I know who she is. I don't know her personally.
Any other additional questions on the COA for 205 through 215 East Morford Street? Chair would entertain a motion to approve item number 6.
Motion to,
Go ahead,
motion to approve.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Kara, thank you very much. All right, the last remaining COA request for roof type and material is 206 West Main Street. I think we have most Methodists I've seen in a building in quite some time, and so it's a refreshing sight. It's good to see Mr. Bill Boyd. Mr. Bill Boyd, the floor is yours.
We retained Cecilia Ward to do the presentation for us. So, thank you.
First off, can you see me?
Yes, yes. Thank you for coming.
Sometimes people can't see me above the podium. Cecilia Ward, thank you, members of the board and your director. I'm a president of JC Consulting, which is an urban planning firm. And the church has hired me to do a professional review of their request for repair of their roof. And I'd like to just go through some of the details of my review. I did provide a lengthy report to your director, and I've also provided my CV. If you would indulge me, since this is the first time before your board, I'd like to just give you some idea of my background.
Sure.
I have 40 years experience in planning. I'm a member of the American Institute of Certified Planners for 20 years. I have done numerous planning work nationally, specifically as it relates to historic preservation. So I'm very familiar with certificates of appropriateness and their criteria and the value of historic preservation where appropriate, and also the Secretary of the Interior standards as well that you also apply here. So with that background, I'd like to just get into some of the specifics of the report. What I first did was a thorough review of the area in relation to the site and the building we're talking about is 206 West Main Street. The church currently uses that as their church community center. The history of this building is that it was a bank building. I believe it was for Regions Bank. It's about more than 50 years old, which makes it number one, the age historic, and it's located within the district. So those are the two things that if I would have to start off with is the only reason why this building is historic is because it's within the district and it's more than 50 years old. It was significantly modified in the 1990s. The drive-through windows were added, which added another roof line. The front facade of the building was dramatically changed. It used to be the main entrance, and then it was closed off because of, I guess, crime and all that was happening with the bank. And they put up just glass walls and left the landscaping that's in the front, which is going to remain as well, proposed to remain. Then they moved the entrance to the rear of the building, which is actually the church parking lot. So from a front facade, the front facade is now actually from the church parking lot, not from the street. Then I looked at, was there any historic value to who designed the building? There is no famous architect or architecture that has been identified with the design of the building. There's no activity that has happened there that has been historically significant. So then I went into the different elements of the building itself. Are there any elements, architectural features that warrant historic preservation? I'm talking in total, I'll narrow this down to allow me. There's nothing in the building that warrants an historic element flavor. If you went through the checklist, there's no design elements within the building itself that warrant historic preservation. Specifically now, as it relates to the roof, there are 3 levels of roof line. This is not your standard commercial building that has one flat roof that you see beautifully along Main Street. This has 3 different roof lines because of the way the bank was designed. And the 3 different roof lines would not be typical of an historic building of that genre, of that era. So what has happened is the 3 roof lines have now caused pooling individually on each of those 3 sections, which has made it very difficult for the church to continually go up there and try to clear debris from those where pools in the corners especially, and made it very difficult for them to maintain. What has now happened over the years is the water is now pooling down into the walls, seeping now into the building and causing mold. And all of these pictures and all have been provided in my report. So that's kind of the condition that we have today. So looking at this, just from my first summary would be that there's no historic person related to this, no historic activity related to the site, and the design of the building does not reflect an historic vernacular that you have adopted within the city. It's not Art Moderne, it's not Italianate, it's not any of the other ones that you've adopted as part of your historic district. So just to go back to why are we here, it's because we're kind of the hole in the donut, we're kind of in the middle because of the location of the district. But as part of that, I did look at all of your historic district preservation regulations, and we have done everything in our proposed repair of the roof to respect that and also show how we comply with that. And I think the most significant compliance provision that I would like to point out is in your section 14-512 of your H1 district, which says that the intent is to create an aesthetic atmosphere. And I'm summarizing, stabilize and enhance property values. So that's what we're here to try to do. We need to fix this roof. Replacing it with just another three flat roofs would just continue to repeat the problem that we've been having over the years. So in order to enhance the area aesthetically, then we looked at what can we replace that roof with that would enhance and not take away from the historic value of the area. So looking at the other existing church buildings, which I've also included in the report, all of the church buildings have a pitched roof and a pitched roof made of metal. So we're not trying to mimic another genre. We're not trying to mimic another vernacular style. We're just trying to propose that we need to replace this roof, but to replace it with something that would add value to that area. And one would be to make it more compatible with the other existing church buildings by adding this slightly pitched roof. Minimal, just enough to where the water can just run off the roof. That's what we're proposing. So then if you look at some of the designs, and I'll pass out some bigger pictures of the design of the roof. It would be the minimal pitch necessary to alleviate the flow of the water. And still be compatible with the metal roof design that the other church buildings have on the subject property. Lastly, I just want to point out that I did go through the Secretary of the Interior standards and your other criteria of your code. And in summary, those standards relate to if you have a design of an element that has this historic vernacular style, or if you have a design of an element of your building that reflects an historic element design, such as the flat roofs that you have here on Main Street. And it's my professional opinion that this building does not have any of that. Again, it just happens to be an old bank building that is located within the district. What we're proposing, I believe, is more compatible with the adjacent properties, more respective of your historic preservation guidelines, and also of and respective of the Secretary of Interior standards. I've summarized in the back of my report my conclusions to each of those, and I provide a response to each of those criteria. And just in summary, we would like to just respectfully request that your historic commission would find that we are in compliance with the criteria that you have in your guidelines and issue the certificate of appropriateness request. And we're here to answer any questions. Obviously, all of your church members are here and they have more detail on how this operates and the problems that they've been experiencing.
Ms. Ward, thank you for your presentation. I will take issue with one thing, the historical significance. My office was in that building for quite some time. So that's the only historical significance that I'm aware of.
So you're very familiar with the.
I am extremely familiar with that,
Okay.
that building.
Of
Of course, one of the things that we are always concerned with an excellent presentation and as president and CEO of one of the larger buildings in town in terms of the historic area, I understand what is involved with these older buildings and maintaining them. And we also have to be concerned with a precedent that we might set. And I agree with you. To my knowledge, that there is no historical significance to that building whatsoever. I encourage members of the church when they bought it in 2008 or 9, Bills, that sound about right? I was in favor of them tearing the property down, to utilize it. And that happens on that western side. The western side of the historic zoning map is more commercial oriented and has a little bit more a variety. I personally, this is my personal opinion, I get a little more protective of things kind of from this building east, where the true historic nature actually set at. I think for the board, and I will open it up for comments and questions for the Methodist Church and Ms. Ward, but I will say this is very similar to what we have really kind of opened up with the rooftop issue in downtown. They are not obviously, although I don't anticipate them ever having a rooftop terrace or rooftop bar. They're membership may go up if they did that, but that's another issue. But we have kind of created this situation with we don't really have a policy on retrofitting a lot of these buildings from a rooftop terrace perspective. And they're wanting to change the grade of their building. That probably is going to flush up a lot of questions and concerns going forward about the precedent that we sit on retrofitting buildings. But I will ask the members to take that into consideration when they are questioning this or have concerns that a lot of these buildings have to be retrofitted for, sometimes it's just for business purposes, and sometimes it's for quality of life purposes with these rooftop terraces. And I know that's not what we're doing here, but in reality, they're changing the pitch of the roof, and that's, we don't have a set policy for that. I know this actual roof line may have some issues, but I'll stop with my comments, and we'll start around the room. If anybody's got any questions or concerns, please go ahead. The floor is open.
When would we make this policy? Seems like we should make a policy first before we do anything.
Well, we'd have to get in and rewrite the guidelines and some of the zoning code on that. And so with this, you're looking at two things. You have the guidelines by Department of Interior, which is in our zoning code, and then the guidelines, which for most projects, it fits within the guidelines because they're smaller projects, not getting into big type of stuff on that. And so with the two, you're looking at two very different things. The Department of Interior, we have to follow those guidelines. That's per state statute, and that's part of the federal stuff to come down, especially with our certified local government, is those standards are the main standards that we have to meet. State statute pretty much follows along that. And then our guidelines are a little bit more, can be a little bit more restrictive on that from the local side with that. And so we're looking at guidelines and a lot of stuff with that. Again, this building, as far as from the historical stuff, wouldn't be anything registered, no an architect, no. There's historic use of it, but nothing major at the time it was built and the different roof lines on that. So it'd be quite a bit to try to get that policy before that. And then with that too, we could not do that on this one. So once this is presented to the commission, as it is now, you'd have 30 days to approve it once it's presented. That's the state statute. You have 30 days to render a decision.
What's the staff recommendations on this, Sean?
This one can't tell. Like I say, if you get into the guidelines, it doesn't mean anything because we'd say not to raise above. I believe this can be 2.5, 12 pitch roof. Right on that. So it's not going to be a big slope. And I believe there's a little bit of willingness maybe on the front to bring that parapet wall up a little bit.
We can bring it up where you actually don't see the gate up front.
Okay.
And so if that parapet wall was extended up and you're not seeing that gable up front, you're not really going to see a big difference on that front facade. You notice a little bit where maybe here, but with the way you're driving, unless you're standing, you're not going to see a lot on the angle. The main front facade, if that was brought up, would still blend in, kind of match the original on that. And so with that may be a fair compromise to reach on it.
Yeah, so as a designer, I don't think it's necessarily fair to compare the very historical main church roof line that has a pitch to this building because they're obviously very different styles. So I understand where you're going with trying to keep the roof lines the same, but I feel like they're very different buildings. So I don't think that's not apples to apples. But if the parapet was brought up and you didn't actually see any of the or you didn't see the pitch to it, I think that would make a dramatic difference in it.
Agreed.
That's where my biggest hang up with it is this style building, whether it has a true historical significance or not, it is technically considered historical because of its age, and it is in our historical district. And it is a more modern style building, and a pitched roof just generally doesn't fit on that style building. But if you didn't actually see it, I mean, I have flat roofs on my buildings. I understand the issues with it big time. And you get more leaks and everything. So I understand wanting to go to the pitched roof just from a maintenance issue. And in my eyes, if the parapet were raised, that would make a big difference so you didn't actually see the pitch.
And if I may respond, I respect your comments
Yeah.
very much and agree totally with the facade
Mhm.
change in the front.
No, so if you raise the parapet, I guess it would be built out of the same stone. I can't really tell what this, what.
If you guys have something specific, like specific look or something that you want, we'll be happy to raise it with whatever material, with that's on standard product.
What it-
To raise. to-
What is it built out of now?
It's yeah.
Drive it? Okay.
Okay.
No, that's not it.
But I mean. if you
And it's
guys have a look-
hard to match drive it too.
Thing to maintain the stores, we'll be happy to raise it however much you want,
Uh-huh.
and then put whatever material there to make it look right.
And so it would be like a metal roof,
The roof itself would be a fancy metal roof,
or what?
fancy metal roof.
Which is what they have on the back side of the, well, the main part of the church. It's, you can see that in a picture.
No, that's just somewhere protected, long term, and
There was a picture of the church. And so it would, yeah. It's there. So it'd be a metal roof to match it, but if it's a low pitch and you don't actually see very much of it anyways. That would definitely hold up better over time than any kind of rubber roof or anything else.
Well, and I know flat roofs do have problems, but,
Mhm. We do have lots of buildings that have them though.
well, I know that they're doing the blue building with flat roof.
Yeah.
And that, it has absolutely no reflection on the church or the property. It's really precedent. But you know, obviously, I know the goodwill that First Methodist Church does in this community, and it's second to none. And I'm inclined to repurpose a lot of these buildings. So I think with the compromise that you're saying, bring it up, you don't see the pitch. Me personally, I don't have a bit of problem with it, and I'm going to vote in favor of approving the COA. But Dan, you're the only one that's not. Do you have any comments?
I think looking at it online, really with that brought up, you won't hardly see much. The way that these trees are in front of this building anyway, cover any ability to from Main Street even see that roof at all. I'm kind of, I'm in favor of it. I don't think, especially with those gables brought up a little bit, it'll be out of line for that building. Are we gonna keep, and I can't quite tell from the drawing, those big boxes on the side? Is the roof gonna come down between those? The side of it where it sticks up like 2.5 foot there, are those getting fully removed? I don't know what those words are. Those things.
Okay. This is the second layer.
Mm.
So the roof would actually be one.
One, yeah,
Yeah.
rather than it has a
So
second
this
one on.
disappears.
So it will come across, it's gone. It will come across over that part as well. Just, okay.
See a picture. What they wanted.
And probably, and I couldn't find a picture. When the bank building was built, it probably didn't have the side facades. Probably said a flat roof, no one JB Bulletin, no one Citibank. They weren't gonna spend that extra money. And then when Union Planners bought or was thinking about the bank, then that's when they put the drive-through in. And to blend that part in with, that's when they put
Right.
the outside facade, which created the bathtub.
Right.
So if you put a pitched roof, are you gonna remove that top portion completely? Like
This
thi-
portion.
this-
She's
this-
talking.
No.
would that be removed?
No.
Okay,
You can't.
okay, I didn't know
Yeah.
what it was structurally holding or anything.
Yeah, that right there is kind of, this
Right,
is
it's
over, that
above.
section's overhanging that.
Right.
And then we're sloping it down. What we're doing is trying to do the middle slope from the center just to get enough slope
Right.
off. And we try to minimize it to the closest, but you've got a pull here, and then actually a pull here and then pull on the other side.
But so if you build the parapet
Because
up
I
on the front
I
here,
can't vote for it if I can't see it in my head.
So
And there's not a picture of what y'all
Yeah.
are proposing.
so if you built the parapet up pretty much all the way around, what's actually this height dimension? Do you know how much
I
you're
have it on
extending
my
there?
phone,
Okay.
or at the,
I just didn't know.
Probably no more than 2 feet. Yes, most.
yeah, it's
Okay,
very minimal.
yeah, because that's not adding a huge parapet to it. I would be in favor of that, of extending the parapet up to basically cover to the top point of the pitch. So really then you won't see anything. And you would honestly be adding more architectural detail by adding that parapet back to the building that would match what's there, because it does have some detail around the top already. It looks like where it's grooved in. Not really a good picture of it. Yeah. So you could add that detail. Basically, you would just extend. Yeah,
With gravity, you can get that away.
yeah.
Show me the front. This is where the.
This
where the
is
gable's gonna
Morford Street, I think. Yeah, this is Morford Street, Main Street's on the other side. So that's,
Show me on this one.
so basically the gable would be, you know, here, because it's going to the center point of that. But so you would, I don't know how you would build that. I guess it would be built up here, and then you'd have to have another part where it actually builds up above this. So this portion of it would get built on top of and raised all the way around to hide this gable.
And it's really not gonna hide it here.
No, it would go to the top point of the pitch. Whatever the topmost point of the pitch is how high the parapet would be raised.
Yeah, you wouldn't see the roof line from the street, you would just see the flat
Like
square.
I said, I have a little reservation because it came in front of historic zone and was denied unanimously, I believe.
Yeah, it
Um,
was.
For those reasons of the pitch of the roof. And I can't remember all the discussion.
Yeah, and I agree.
I'm a
If
little
you,
nervous about
if you actually see the pitch, I don't think a pitch roof fits on this style building. I really just don't. It's a modern building. It has a flat roof, but I think this is a fair compromise with the raising the parapet, so you wouldn't actually see it. Yeah, it would have to be, I think it would need to be done all the way around, maybe not that same height, maybe it's still the different levels, but just so that it matched all the way. But I do think that's a fair compromise, as long as you don't actually see the pitch.
Can we get a drawing of what it's gonna look like, actually?
Yeah, you get a better rendering than that.
Yes. No offense.
I know. See, I can see it in my brain, but I know it's
I
hard.
just want to be careful because like Michael said, we are setting a precedent and there are so many changes coming.
I agree.
I don't want to do something that down the road I regret because I hear people that have been on these boards go, oh God, I wish I had done that. Or
Yeah.
they sign off on things they wish they hadn't signed off on.
Yeah, if we could get a better rendering.
Right, and once, I mean, we could, look at it, and I'll be happy to do any drawings.
Well-
But I mean, we could absolutely do it pending, review of that.
Well, yeah, so Sean, you can comment on this as well. I think the will at this point is certainly a soft yes from this board. Adam and Bill and Miss Ward, if y'all could just get to Sean that final rendering. But for the purpose of this, so we don't bring it before another committee and lose another 30 days. I think that based on conversations, Raven has a pretty good grasp of it in terms of what that's going to look like. Rachel and I would like to see some renderings, but I think we're there. I think we want y'all to have this. So, wouldn't necessarily be subject to, we would just like to have that. I think the church is open to doing things that's tasteful and in conjunction. And I know you guys will, because Adam, I know the quality of you and Keith's work. And I think the church is going to do the right thing. So at this time, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the COA for the roof type and material, which includes in that motion increasing the parapet up, which everyone was in agreement to. So the chair would entertain that motion.
So I make a motion to approve based on final drawings submitted.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
That soft eye.
Motion carries. Are y'all good with that? Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Go ahead, Bill. Sean.
As
Yeah,
soon as you get it to me, I can get it to them and we can look it over.
Yeah, we go from there.
And get that, yeah.
I think that's a fair compromise. I just don't want to. As another property owner in downtown and my personal view is that I want to keep the integrity and the looks of our historical buildings that we do have within our downtown. So I don't want to alter that. But I do understand that there need to be some compromises to make the buildings keep standing and stay there. So.
And if there was for some reason, just so you know, if there was some sort of issue with those final renderings, as the chair, I would call a special meeting to address that. So we would not have to wait the full 30 days.
As you can tell by the campus itself, that we try to maintain it.
Sure.
Absolutely.
We want it to be inviting, not just for those who come to church, but for the community. And unfortunately, we have those who transit. They like to stay there as well.
Well, it's okay. Like I said, what First Methodist, the entire campus is beautiful, and it's an asset to the community, an asset to the historic zoning. And again, this is more reflection of precedent. So if you can just get us those final drawings, you've got a motion and everyone voted in favor with that, and just get that to us as soon as you possibly can. Any additional staff updates, Sean?
I don't have anything at this point.
All right, this time I'll take a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I'll make a motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Stand adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
That's what I was trying to see on the,
Yeah. Well,
When I was trying to work on coaching, I was like, yo, I'm
It's going to go on same material and we build it, and they build it up so that it matches.
What's the material right there?
Well, it's dry, it's very similar to stucco.
I have a question. We had a hotel license.
For what?
All the transients that
Oh.
are camping out under the eaves of the church.
I think it's
I was counting the Sunday school classes the other day, and there were 3 people out there.
Have a base of what that looks like when it's in.
Stucco, it just has been.
Chantry, where we have the little fountain out there with sleeping bags. I just wanted to see how to get a motel.
Equipment down there on the front of it, and we actually did hear it all stuff up, and we're just safe to make the texture look similar. Because drive it's actually.
That's what this stuff is.
It's like actually hold paper mache. It has some plastic balls in it and a mesh underneath it. It's really weird material. I don't know why they chose to use stuff like that, because it did not last. Hey Rebecca, is the meeting still on, or are we online? Yeah.
We're all right.
Wonder if one day it talked the words out.
Oh.
We're live. It's not being fancy.
Yeah. Yeah. And he said. Yeah, I mean, they have to.
Well,
maintain it. I mean, I have.
that's something.
I have black rubber roads, all our new
Fantastic.
creations down there, and they have to get up there.
We got another meeting.
So
Yep.
you can
Later,
absolutely
what?
have flat roofs. I understand from a maintenance standpoint that
That's not working.
this is gonna pitch roof will make
Good
it
morning, good
much
morning.
easier, and they have these issues over time, but.
See you ladies later. Thank you,
Yeah,
thank you, thank you.
Laid a charming meeting.
Well,
I do think
We
it's,
should get stuck with.
I do think it's a fair compromise to build that up though. Yeah. Well, yeah, I understand. And I don't want to see the roof. That's where I don't want to see a pitched roof because it doesn't look right on this drawing.
Yeah, it's hard to see. So the trees, even like standing on the trees, you can't really see it, but like you hate to, that's fine. And then they cut the trees down. You're like, well, that was great.
But so
Yes.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that.
So basically, it is.
So I was a no, but.
Basically,
Very
what this
persuasive there.
is build that up, that section gets another section, and you wouldn't see it, and it would actually add to the word of that, really, which is kind of art deco water. So the pyramid is what is actually above the roof, so this extends probably 12 inches or something above the roof. That's what.
They just take that up another 2 foot TNT thing and it.
I think that's a fair.
This building we're in right now.
But I feel like this, we
It's
have.
saying walls.
But we don't really.
And so Tim will tell you.
Talking about getting the guy,
Rewriting the code.
when they were
See,
waiting
but
on.
it's smack
so they asked about that,
Other
they were
banks
waiting
in
on
town had
the review to come back from. They had the people come
The
and do
idea
the
is
something.
HG Hills, they
And
did, they
then
did.
somebody cleaned
And that
up,
was
we were
the
waiting.
most modern.
And they said it was gonna be
bank
like
branch
6
of the
months to a
time.
year before we got it.
Well,
But it's
So
probably
that
been
will
6
clarify
months.
all of these things that just. Very. very-
It's harder to clear something. Really need a rewrite about it, so like.
Union planners had already bought, regions had already bought union planners.
Yeah.
And they moved me into this. deal.
No, he didn't.
It's so unfortunate.
Sean's doing.
Yeah, she did a good job.
The first.
Was I on that church?
Open to bringing in the thing, yes.
Yeah.
Our board to be,
Yeah.
you know, to balance that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Also, that's a fair compromise to do on that. Cause I don't want to see a pitch roof on that building. It doesn't look good. Good.
Yeah. I'm gonna stay because everything.
Oh, after.
You're on the left part too, right?
No, what are y'all doing there?
I can't remember.
We
What
do.
was it?
It's so busy, honestly. I don't
I
even
have to move. I'm just gonna wait it out. It's hot out. I'm not gonna want, but I'm gonna have to. Do I have to move to the seat, the seat order mean something?
No. You can have it.
Oh, yeah.
5,000 square feet.
Yeah.
It's a trough.
7,000. I mean,
Tiny.
tiny lots of living out.
Where,
I don't wanna
what,
look
in
like
what,
this.
where we're at, like what part of the city would that affect? Where's that zoning that they, where do we have our two? It's pretty common.
Children.
Have you seen?
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
So back up, right.
There's one over, I got the one on.
Down outside of our.
Yeah, that one's over by Walmart. That's that right? Near Walmart across.
I'm
from
looking across from the
John's Grill.
from the drive.
Yeah, yeah. What about the one over, you turn by, I can't remember the name of the street, it's behind Ace Hardware. So no chance.
I was glad.
To run behind Ace up there. Giant apartment complex. He's turning by, the Caesars and then that first road on the left.
Another road.
That land, it's the land next, yeah, it's the land next to the storage units there. It's not storage, it's that parcel in between there. Yeah, it's big. Hmm.
Well,
Now it's sick too. It's between them.
I don't know.
I know.
Yes, honestly. Yeah.
We need to go tell the guy. It's gotta
How
be-
long?
You went to.
I went to the LB and all that.
It. They really don't. That's so cool.
No, I get it.
All the time. We think you should have hired somebody.
Yes.
Okay. I know. Okay. It's a good one. You in this case? Go sit down here. I guess, hey, Rebecca, I want to give all these back to you.
Oh, yeah.
Gonna move out here, so everybody thinks I'm on this one.
You get a dollar.
Well, I'm not on this board, but if I'm not on the BZA. Isn't that what y'all are? So, a lot of times it looks like I am. So I move out. I move out here. I'm all right, yeah.
How you doing? Great. Doing good.
Yeah, my guy that's just driving me, next week sometime, and then we've got, accounts on the year malls and it's got. Right, like, I'll mention all that, and then we're waiting on.
Oh, my God. So you can carry something. It's good.
Yeah, oh, I see that. Ready for it to be done.
Nuts are going stale. We might have to write a letter to somebody. How you doing?
How are you?
I'm doing good. What's the rest of the summer look like? Huh? You got vacation in here at the end of it or?
No. We're actually. They're already taking Friday off. We got a long weekend.
How's things going?
Yeah, the air show. Definitely very busy. So maybe they're kind of going down the road, Jack.
You gotta get it. So last time I went down there, I did the same thing. I don't drive for 30 minutes just to
Yeah,
get away from.
yeah, we went to there. To get there. We got that. You get there, right? So, you know. If we can jerk one of them.
The little one.
Yep.
Yeah.